Okay, I think we're live. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can
live.
never tell. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Atticus Live. I am Jordan.
I'm Desiree, and let us know if you can see us and hear us. We are streaming on relatively slow internet right now, so this is kind of a test run to see how it goes.
Yeah, sorry guys if the resolution is not as good as usual. And hopefully we have no problems. Knock on wood. Okay, we are live. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, good. We've got...
Man, I'm sorry. I just want to say, I was looking at everybody who's just hanging out, waiting for this live stream. I'm so happy that you guys are stoked about this. We're super amped.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we miss you guys. It's been way too long.
I know, right?
I feel like a part of my life is missing.
You haven't called?
Brad Scott, haven't seen your name on my screen in a long time.
Brad Scott. Hey, we were blasting Van Halen on our way into Panama. Yeah. I hope you're happy to hear that.
All right, let's do a couple shout outs. We got Rachel Cody, Carl Frederick, Barbara Lane, In the Fiber, Jimmy Anderson, Larry Summer, Seeing the World, Sailing Vessel Ladybug. Nice name. Mark Peterson, Steve Hunter. We got Dave, our amazing moderator.
What's up, Dave?
Dave Desire, just
Dave
being amazing over in Ireland. Check out his channel. He's got a boat refit project that he's working on right now. So if you need some inspiration, check out his channel.
Oh, my brother Jim Morrison, he's there with Jim. Elijah. What's up, Jim?
Hey,
What's up, Elijah? Elijah, my nephew, is a senior. Congratulations, hombre. You're almost there.
Yeah, we got my mom. Hey, Mom. We've got your parents. Hey, Rita and Steve. My brother, Cushy Pushy, is probably out there. Let's see. We've got Michael Williams.
Oh, my niece, Mackenzie. Hey, Mackenzie.
How's it
all right.
going? Mackenzie has her own YouTube channel as well. We got Ryan Wiggins, CT Huff, CF Daddy, Chicken Patty Fries. How's it going? Anyways, we'll keep the shout outs going as we move along, but we wanted to start out with a couple of announcements that are very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we're going to give away, we have 2 drawings tonight. So one of them is your chance to win 2 free sailboat tickets 2 free sailboat tickets to the Annapolis Sailboat Show, and that's in October. And then the second opportunity is to win a signed pre-ordered copy of Lin Pardey's 3rd edition, which is the newest edition of her awesome book called The Self-Sufficient Sailor.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't read The Self-Sufficient Sailor yet, I highly recommend it. It was one of the first books that we read preparing to get Atticus ready to go cruising, and probably one of the most helpful books that we've ever read. It really kind of tells you the nuts and bolts, the what do you really need to go cruising? Mm-hmm. You know, what is actually necessary,
and not just the equipment, but the philosophy of building a boat that has systems that are indestructible and that you can fix on your own in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of what we realized cruising is all about.
And then on top of that, they were the ones that first did, go simple, go small, go now, which I feel like we've been kind of trying to push. So you get the chance to win a signed copy. Lynn signed the copy of Self-Sufficient Sailor, and in fact, it's the 3rd edition. So we actually have a blurb on the back cover that we wrote in support, talking about how awesome the book is. So if you want the book signed by Lin Pardey with a little blurb from us on the back, then enter to win the drawing. The directions on the drawing are down here, because I'm technologizing. Check out that technology. Oh my gosh, it just beautiful. Moved. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Wait, hold on. Is it gonna move again? I don't.
All right, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah, this is just so exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
The other announcement is we are going to be coming to the United States for the Sailboat Show. We're actually going there to guest speak at Lin Pardey's Cruisers University course, and we're going to be talking about the realities of vlogging as you sail around the world. And her course is really interesting because if you're interested in figuring out how to learn how to make money while you cruise, she goes into writing, blogging, vlogging, and a couple of other examples, I believe. But anyways,
video making, yeah.
So it's the Cruisers University in itself is kind of a cool program. I wish I knew about it before we started cruising. It's like a really awesome chance to learn about, splicing, diesel mechanics, how to sew. There's all sorts of really cool courses. So we're going to be there. If you can't make it, we will be at the Sailboat Show, and we're going to post our whereabouts and meetups, all of that on our Facebook page. So check out our Facebook page. Yep. All right. Blah.
Wow, that was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So first of all, a couple people were asking how my head's doing, and it's like I can't even see the scar. I mean, it is in my hair.
Yeah.
I do have a luscious head of hair, so it's hard to get in there. But Desiree did such a good job that I think it just healed super, super well. So thank you guys for asking.
I did learn I'm not the best under pressure, and like seeing Jordan donated $20 in Super Chat. Thank you so much. You're awesome. He says, buying you a beer or water. Thank you. Water is actually somewhat expensive here, so that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sailing SV someday, Darla and Steve. This is what a $5 donation looks like. Awesome.
Thank you for leading the way, guys.
Tony E says, Project Atticus rocks. Instagram Les Lydia has a crush on Jordan. Ooh, who doesn't? Sailboat Show. Okay, we got Tony E in the house. Hopefully we get to meet you there, and hopefully Lydia can meet Jordan, pimp Jordan out.
And then Mario Rodriguez is saying, Jordan, your Spanish is much better.
It is getting better.
Muchas gracias, amigo.
He's been doing Duolingo. I hear him in the V-birth. He's like, yo puedo hablar muy bien.
Blop, blop. Yeah, I've been Duolingoing it up.
Yeah. Brad Scott, thank you so much. We got Kenny Humphrey. Thank you. You're amazing. Karen Doan. Sailboat Show. Nice. Hopefully we'll see you there. Almost caught up. Brad Scott again. He said, shit, I didn't put Sailboat Show in the first one, even though I'm not going. Okay, well, maybe you can
Brad,
come now.
you misspelled Sailboat Show. I'm sorry, buddy. You're going to have to do it again. Just kidding.
All right, couple more super chats, and then why don't you be thinking of some good questions that people have for us?
Well, okay, should I talk about the Cuba thing real quick?
No, we'll save that for when there's a lull.
Okay, gotcha. Well, first of all, my buddy Josh Davis, he's in the house.
Josh.
What's up, Josh? How are you, buddy? Let's see here.
I'll do some more thank yous while you're finding a good question. We've got Michael Douglas Roberts says, hello from Rainier, Oregon. SV Whiskey Rebellion will be out and about in 2 years. Nice, you're almost there. Hope to meet you in real life then. That would be awesome. You got Kevin Jackson. Oop, lost my spot. Where am I? Kevin Jackson, thank you so much. I am Perk. Whoa, $50. You're awesome. Thank you again.
And real quick, Flo Mads is saying they wish they could hang out and watch the rest of the show, but they're on a bus on their way to Fort Lauderdale to buy a boat.
Nice.
Rock on, man.
You know
Good
who
luck.
Flo Mads are?
No.
They wrote the awesome comment about Larry.
Oh, nice one. Dude, so, like, how much did you guys love Larry? That little guy was awesome, man. He had a kind of a tood, kind of had a little bit of a tood, but sometimes that's what you want in a pigeon. You know what I mean?
We're running aground, the lines in the prop were, like, really stressed out, the sun setting.
And he'd, like, be, like, walking up to me, like, pecking me.
Get
like,
in the
dude.
beaver. Yeah, or trying to get in the cabin. God, Larry.
Yeah, freaking Larry. But we didn't actually address it in the episode. A lot of you guys were asking what happened to Larry.
We ate him.
Yeah. He basically, the moment we got up next to the dock, he flew away. He was out of there. So he was fronting like he was a good friend of ours. And then the first chance he got, he was out of there.
Nope. Didn't even look back. Wistfully in our direction. He was just like, see ya, suckers.
Yeah.
And somebody was saying we weren't very gentle with him, but we actually didn't want to touch him because we had heard that you could get diseases with birds on your boat and water collection and stuff. So we were being very careful not to actually touch him physically. If you guys know anything about that, let us know. We know nothing about birds. Michael McMahon, thank you so much. Billy Newport says, can you talk about where you are staying in Grand Cayman and what it's like?
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
So first of all, disclaimer: we are right now in Bocas Del Toro, Panama, and so we've sailed a pretty good clip from Grand Cayman. When we were in Grand Cayman, we either used the main mooring field that is right outside of town, Georgetown, and that's on the west side of the island, next to where all the cruise ships are. It's really cool because there's mooring balls set up for public use. So it's one of the few places where, in order to protect the reef, because in a lot of ways the reef is their primary economic driver, right? Like tourism and banking. It's basically the two things they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they protect the reef by making mooring balls so that boats don't mess the reef up with their anchors and chains and whatnot. We moved from there to North Sound, which is actually, we were in a place called Kaibo Point, and then Governor's Sound. So if you guys want to look those spots up, go ahead and check them out. Mm-hmm. Two really protected air spots on up in North Sound, which is like a big bay on the north side. Mm-hmm. A lot more protected, but not quite as pretty.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know this yet, we're usually about 3 months ahead of our videos. And we actually like that because it allows us to be a lot more discriminant about what goes into each episode. So there will be 2 more episodes about Cayman where we'll go into our anchorages and what else we do. And gosh, like watching that footage while we're editing it, like, oh, I miss the water there. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's awesome.
And that kind of like leads me to the next question. Jay Gribble says, "Hey guys, how are you liking Bocas? I love it there. I've lived in Panama for 13 years. I wish I was there to meet you guys." Well, we wish we were here to meet you. We wish you were here to meet us. I don't know how to put that, but we wish we could meet you too. But we really like Bocas a lot.
Yeah.
We like it a lot. We're currently in Bocas Marina, and it's a super nice marina. It's very affordable.
And the people are so nice. Like, I feel like you can tell how well a business is run if the workers have been there for like 10 years. And pretty much all the workers here have been here since the marina opened. So you can just get that vibe. Everyone's really nice and it feels very safe and town is awesome. So we were actually thinking about doing all of our projects in Shelter Bay or Linton Bay. But we actually decided to stay in Bocas Del Toro and do all of our work here. And we're working with the marina owner who has a boatyard down the, I was going to say river, down the way. Down the way.
Is that way.
That way, yeah. So we're excited to, it's going to be harder to do our work here, more expensive, less convenient.
It's not harder, it's just harder to get materials and stuff shipped in from the States.
Yeah.
That's basically the drawback to being in Bocas, right? Because you don't realize it, but Panama is like a long, skinny country, and pretty much like Cologne and Panama City are like the civilization in the country, and they're to the east of us. And so we're like, to get here from Panama City, like you kind of have to take some small crappy roads. So like we're more or less somewhat cut off from the rest of civilization over here, but it's beautiful and there's a lot of amenities for boaters. Mm-hmm. There's a small boat supply store here. The marina stocks a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. So we do dig it here a lot. Mm-hmm. A couple things I do want to say, like I'm super stoked to be outside the hurricane zone.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Right, like how many hurricanes have there been in the last couple months? I have no idea because I don't even check anymore. It's like such a load off my mind to not worry about it.
Yeah.
So that's great. But there is a price to be paid for that, and that is that like there's not a lot of wind here, so it can get kind of hot. So like you may notice we're a little shiny.
Like profusely sweating right now.
Yeah, we had to let our hair and makeup specialist go, so we haven't been getting any touch-up. So yeah, it's hot. And then you may notice some smoke kind of rising up. And no, that's not Desiree's newly acquired doobie smoking habit.
This where are you going with this?
Dude, I wasn't sure when I started. I'm not going to lie to you. But this is actually mosquito coils that we got lit just to like keep. It's not mosquitoes. It's what are they calling them?
I don't know if they're no-see-ums. They're
a lot like no-see-ums.
Yeah, they don't have white wings. They're just like these little things that latch onto you, and then they just stay and like suck something out of you. I don't think it's blood because when you kill them, there's no blood in there. So I don't even know what they want. I actually want to research it.
So Todd Edger says, how long are you going to be in Bocas? We'll be back next month. So we are going to be here for many months. We'll be here for at least, I don't know, four or five. We are going to the States. We'll be in the States from the middle of September to the middle of October. And so if you're here at that time, you won't see us, but we will be here. We will be coming back here.
And then speaking of boat projects, Jay Friddle77 says, any new boat projects soon? And you were in luck because once our videos catch up to Panama, we actually storyboarded out 8 episodes, so we've got 8 DIY videos coming your way.
At least.
Yeah, so you're probably going to want to shoot us after all the DIY.
Yeah, you're going to be like,
projects.
Can you stop working on your boat and go sailing,
go
please?
do something fun. You're exhausting me.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a lot of cool stuff. We've got one of the things I'm most excited about, and I know you guys are real familiar with this issue, is we are going to be getting a Harken furling unit for our Genoa. So we're going to put the Genoa on a furler, and then we're going to put a removable inner Solent stay for the Hank-On 100% working jib. And so I'm excited about those 2 projects. It's going to be so nice to never have to change those head sails again.
Yeah.
Because it's such a pain. And I'm also excited because we're looking into working with Caligo Marine to make our Solent head stay out of Duck's Dyneema. So like synthetic rigging Solent stay. And that's kind of going to be like our first foray into synthetic rigging. And we're like potentially thinking that with Atticus 2.0, like I might just re-rig that bad boy all synthetic. So tell us what you think of synthetic rigging in the comments. Are we totally ridiculous? Are we going to run into something, chafe through a shroud and then lose the rig, or is this the future of rigging?
Yeah, what I think is cool about it is what you were telling me. Like, if you eliminate the basically, if you handle your rigging, then the only thing you have to worry about that is like your fittings, and then you go titanium, and then like your rig is bulletproof.
Right. So exactly what Desiree's talking about is one of the things that Caligo is big on their website is. And if you don't know much about synthetic rigging, basically you're sizing the rigging so that the stretch is acceptable. So by the time you replace a given 1x19 stainless steel shroud or stay with a synthetic shroud or stay, it's many times stronger than the metal equivalent, right? It's a lot stronger. Now, obviously, you got to worry a little bit about chafe, and that's a thing, right? UV damage, something you got to kind of keep up on. But strength, it's way stronger. And so Caligo is all about, okay, if you're going to go synthetic, then you can start doing things like titanium tangs and chain plates. The idea being like that whole chain of support for your mast, like make it bulletproof, right? Like make it so it doesn't break. And like I really dig that philosophy because as it is with metal, tangs, turnbuckles, fittings, everything else, your margin of error is kind of slight. Like your working load versus braking load. I mean, it's something like, I mean, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it's something like 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 when all's actually said and done. Like when you're talking about the realistic loads to the rig. So anyway. Okay,
I'm gonna go. We missed like 20 questions.
Oh my gosh.
We got Harry Cash says, "Where did you learn to sail?" Just as a speedy response, Jordan taught me how to sail. And then Jordan learned by...
I learned in a course while I was in college. So I was going to San Diego State, and they had like a program through the Mission Bay Aquatic Center in San Diego. And I was like, 18 or 19? Like I'd never sailed in my childhood. And I just got real into it real fast, you know? So if you're new to sailing, like don't worry. Learning how to sail isn't the tough part. It's learning how to deal with all this other BS.
And something that Jordan did to kind of finesse his sailing skills and become a well-rounded sailor was he volunteered to race. And so I think that's a really good way to get into sailing for free. So if you're willing to just, do anything a bunch of people or a captain tells you to do, volunteer to be a crew member for a racing team.
And then we got a couple people asking about the PayPal link real quick. You should be able to find that in the description for this video. If it's not working, just give it a second and try again. It might be getting a little bit too much traffic.
And it looks like Dave just included the link because he's amazing.
Dave, on top of it, man. Yeah. Why do I even open my mouth? Dave, sorry, bro.
All right. Charles Smith asks, did the hull and deck begin to separate to cause the river of love?
So it hasn't started to separate. What I think it is, and I'm sorry, guys, this is a crude analogy here, But basically, our hold-a-deck joint...
Do you need my hand, Brandon?
Yeah, that's great, actually. So Desiree, her bicep, her lovely bicep, this is the side deck.
So big, don't hurt yourself.
Okay, so this is the side deck. Her head is the cabin top. This is the flange for the deck. Then my arm is the hull, and then the flange goes like this. So it's just a single right angle. That's the whole hold-a-deck joint. So it's kind of a poor design. Now, this part right here is covered by our rub rail. And the rub rail we installed ourselves. We put a bunch of sealant there. So that opening at the joint is actually pretty well sealed. What I think the problem is there's some bolts that go through the hold-a-deck joint. A lot of them. Like a lot of bolts.
Technically, it'd be like this, because it looks like your
no.
is connected.
It's like this.
But,
and so there's a lot of bolts that go through. And so a lot of them aren't sealed on the bottom. And a lot of them are like old holes that were never really sealed. And I was just too dumb to realize it was going to be a problem. So I think when we start heeling over and we start splashing into the waves, I think water gets forced into those holes and then starts to trickle down. The other place where it comes, potentially the chain plates are leaking, and that's something I've got to investigate. And then another thing is that our side deck scuppers, long story short, they're connected to our cockpit scuppers through a T, okay? So you got side deck scuppers, cockpit scuppers, they join right here. Well, that T is not well designed, not well put together, and so that leaks. Particularly if we heel over, that T is below the water line, and then it leaks like a sieve. It leaks a lot. So those are the 3 horsemen of our leaking problem.
Yeah, and that is one of our 8 projects that we're going to try to get done in the next 5 months. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah,
that's
L.R. Dishman says that our whole deck joint looks like a goose. That's exactly right. It's a goose joint, as I like to call it.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing where, like, it would be really, really great to fix that leak, but it's more of just an annoying part of sailing. So if it comes to be March and we haven't tackled that project yet, I'm going to call it and say, let's just cross the Pacific anyways, because I want to.
Yeah, so more or less what we've done is we've just tried to do a good job of prioritizing our projects, and then we're just going to do as many of them as we can. And I think that we'll be well within the realm of acceptable risk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got a question. Richard Peterson says, "Hi, I'm from North Carolina, Outer Banks. Woo-hoo. Will you be taking the intercoastal waterway or offshore Cape Hatteras to Annapolis?" And we're actually flying to Annapolis. We're leaving the boat in Panama while we're gone. Rachel Cody asks, a personal question for Desiree: how do you deal with feminine issues while sailing? I actually made a video with Sailing Uma with Kika. She had a ladies' night episode completely about everything female. So I would just check that out. I talk about what I do.
Cool. Real quick, I do want to mention, because Badger Dog has asked twice now, Jordan, do you have any interest in learning to use a sextant? I do have an interest. We have a sextant on board. In fact, my parents bought it for me for my birthday.
I thought I got it for you.
Was it you?
Oh, no, your parents bought the sextant. I bought the book.
So, thanks, Mom and Dad. Appreciate it. I need to get better at it. So, I've dabbled with it. I've messed around with it, and I need to put more time to it. Mm-hmm. The problem is that it's hard to practice when you're in port, because you need to have a view of the horizon. So, you can pretend like you can see the horizon and kind of, do a pretend fix, but you really need to be able to see the horizon. So you kind of have to be at sea to practice. Mm-hmm. And when we're at sea, it's like I feel like there's always 10 things I should be doing and worrying about. So I kind of just need to make the time.
Yeah. Fish 7400 asks, what's your opinion on butyl tape? I need to rebed stanchions. Have you used it? We love butyl tape.
Yeah, butyl is great. Basically, I like butyl whenever you don't need to do a significant amount of gap filling, right? So obviously butyl will do some gap filling, but let's say you've got 2 pieces of hardware and they come together like this, but you want to fill that gap, right? So the hardware, they touch, but then for whatever reason, there's this big old empty space that you want to put some kind of sealant in. That's when I stick with either 3M 4200 4000 UV if it's going to be in the sun. Similarly, Sikaflex 291 and then 295 if it's going to be in the sun.
Mm-hmm. And I think we have an Atticus update from like 5 years ago when we're installing our handrails on the boat that talks about butyl also.
Yeah. But I mean, I shouldn't underrate that. Like, butyl is amazing. Yeah. Especially like the fact that you can be like calm about it, but like the working time, because with normal sealant it's like the moment you put pressure on that gun, it's on. It's like it's on,
and it ends up everywhere.
It's everywhere, and I'm just like sweating and wiping and trying. It's just like I like have a nervous breakdown every time it happens.
Yeah. Let me do some super chat thank yous. We've got Henry Garbade, Tattooed Jason. He says, "Hey buds, sailboat show." Dan Etherton says, tickets for Annapolis Sailboat Show. We got CF Daddy, Sailboat Show. Sailing Project Atticus rocks. Awesome. We got Mike Chilson. Thank you so much. He says, "You guys are awesome. Enjoy your adventures." You're awesome. Let's see. Oh, lost my spot. Great. Why don't you do another question?
Andrew Burr asks, "What did you use to paint your top deck?" So we painted basically everything except for the hardtop with all grip. We both came from a yachting background, working on big super yachts. And so one of the very few transferable skills that I learned from yachting was how to paint with expensive paint products. And so it's kind of weird, right? Like, here we are on a shoestring budget, and like we're using the most expensive paint system known to man, right? And like, but I will say that it's held up really well. Like, we've abused it. And the boat still looks nice. And like, I'm not gonna lie, it's cool to have a boat that looks nice on the outside. Like, when we roll in somewhere, like, you guys all know how much of a dirtbag we both are. We're total dirtbags, but we roll in somewhere and people are like, "Man, those people look like respectable young people."
I don't think it's that word dirtbag.
I'm a dirtbag. Desiree is beautiful.
I guess I would say that the interior of Atticus we did nothing aesthetic to it, and so sometimes when I go on other people's boats, I'm like, man, it'd be really nice to just have an interior that makes you feel calm and nice. So at least we can have that on the exterior of Atticus.
Yeah, obviously I'm being facetious. I don't see myself as a dirtbag.
Okay, and Ron Jersky says, "Hey Jordan, how do you deal with male issues on board?"
I mean,
first of all, the biggest male issue that you have is probably that you're too attractive.
Yeah, which it's hard to deal with that.
Too many women throw themselves at you.
I know. Yeah, tread lightly and carry a big stick. Yeah. That's what I have to say about that.
Dwayne Walton, thank you so much. We've got Henry again, Sailboat Show, SV Spirit Libre. Hey, been a while. Glad to see you live stream again. Put me in a running for a book, as now I can. It makes the boat show tie. Joe Kujowski. Ooh, I probably butchered your name. Chad, you guys make me smile and dream each week. Oh, that's really sweet.
Thanks, amigo.
Yeah. Michael Gonzalez, how's it going? Keith Coy, always fun to watch your videos. Stacy DePaulo, love saying your name.
What's up, Stacy?
Hello from Boston. How's the food in Panama? Affordable, so delicious.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like, so far, like, I wouldn't say the local cuisine is like mind-blowing, right?
But we can afford it.
But we can sure afford good food here, which is great. Yeah, I've been loving it.
Yeah, we spent more money in Cayman in a month than we usually spend, like, in Guatemala or Honduras or here in, like, I'd say 2 or 3 months. So that was really eating away at our bank account.
Yeah, right. There's this empanada, right? Empanada shop. Oh. It's like my favorite place. It's a food truck, but like a Latin American food truck, right? Like, there's wheels and it's like a box, so I guess it's a truck, but it's like a food trailer, I guess. Anyway, but they make empanadas, which is like this fried dough with chicken inside for $1, and this thing is like this big, like 2 of them is a meal, and they sell black coffee, and it's like good coffee, and it's just this little trailer. I'm like, every time I go there, I just like want to shake her hand and be like, thank you for your service to society, you know? Like, this is amazing, you know? So we have been enjoying the food here.
Yeah. And it's funny, it's like most tourist towns, if you go to where, you know, locals eat, you can get a whole meal for $5. Or you can go to the nice restaurant across the street and spend $20 on a meal. Yeah. So I was going to our empanada homegirl for a long time, and then I went down a different street, which is where most of the tourists go, and I was getting my dollar out to get an empanada, and the lady's like, that will be $7.50. And I was just horrified. I was like, you can take your dirty empanada and sell it to someone else.
Yeah, isn't that wild? It's like several blocks away from our favorite empanada lady.
Yeah. It's like 7 times the price.
I know.
Crazy.
That's bold. Real quick, Larry Vess says, Jordan, what are your favorite YouTube channels on refits? And that's a great question. I'd say my favorite one is Boatworks Today. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Amazing guy.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
Bob?
No. You, one of you guys for sure knows his name on Boatworks Today. I'm so sorry, I can't.
Steve.
It's skipping my mind. But Boatworks Today, and then Sail Life. Sail Life is really cool. Like he does like serious boat work on that channel, and so I really enjoy getting to watch that. And then I'd say probably Sailing Uma in their early episodes. You know, they did some really cool stuff, and it's fun getting to watch their projects. Because in a lot of ways, you know, not a lot of channels document their refits well.
And Dave's doing a refit as well on his boat.
That's a great point.
Check out Dave's channel.
Yeah, check out DV Zier's channel.
I can't read the name of your comment. Actually, you guys don't talk much about your head. Do you have one, and any plans on, or what do you have, and any plans on changing it? We've got the Japsco.
It's just the standard Japsco, like hand pump toilet. It's like just the most common toilet on boats out there.
And we like it. Haven't had any issues with it. I mean, we had to replace a couple of parts, I think twice in the last 5 years.
Yeah, we've learned, I will say the trick that we've really learned is we pour a little bit of like olive oil or vegetable, some kind of cooking oil into the toilet. Would you say once every 2 days maybe?
Or once a day.
Yeah, just a little bit. And then like when it's empty, and then pump that. And what that does is it just like oils up the O-ring for the pump. And then it oils up the joker valve. And like doing those two things, like, well, and I guess that's about all it does. But still, even those two things, like, those are probably the two things that fail the most. Every now and then, one of the valves inside, something gets stuck in it. So I'll have to take it apart and, like, clean the valve. But, like, that thing is just, it's a little tank.
And then, you know, when it gets, like, kind of dirty, we use vinegar to clean it. And I've just found, living on a boat, I really like simple cleaning products. So we basically use water, soap, vinegar, sometimes Clorox. That's it.
And Boatworks Today, Andy. That's
Andy.
Right. Thanks, everybody. I'll give a quick shout out to SV Spirit Libre, Rusty Comer, Daniel Oliver, ST34M Punk Privateer, David Albright, Blair King, Adventures of SV Nepenthe. Thanks, guys. Nice. Appreciate the help.
Got a couple more super chats to thank. We've got Bill Shea. He says, you buds are doing a great job. My favorite. Thank you. That's so sweet.
Thanks,
Cheers
amigo.
to you. We've got Steve Dickey. Can't make it to the show, but the book would be great. Ryan Clark. We've got Rusty Comer. How's it going again? He said, hope this goes through. Wifey has had this credit card in her possession way too long. Dennis Anderson. I hope she got some good stuff.
That's awesome.
Dennis Anderson. We got Chance Roberts. He says, love you guys. You two are so inspiring. Oh, thank you. We've got Cody Havner. Love your channel. Declan Murray. Enjoying your videos from Ireland. So I don't need those tickets. Just keep up the great videos. Thank you. That's awesome. We've got Elizabeth Miller.
Hey, Liz.
Sailboat Show. We'll see you guys there.
All right.
Chicken
Can't
patty
wait.
Fries again. We've got Brad Scott again. He says, synthetic. You'll always be tweaking it, but that's cool too. Here's some cash for the Dyneema Fund.
Hey,
cool.
Thanks, man. In fact, real quick, while I've got it, Tom D said, from what I understand, Dyneema is stronger and lasts 2 to 3 times longer. They also have a protective sheath that goes over the Dyneema to guard against chafe and UV. Yeah, so everything I've heard, it's like as long as you're willing to be involved, right? Because you can't just like order it pre-made, sent to you, and then have some dude like tie it up. Like you kind of have to be a part of the process. But as long as you're willing to do that, it seems like it's kind of the future. Mm-hmm. Not to mention that, like, talking about how long it lasts, they actually don't really know how long it lasts, right? Because they haven't been using it very long. Mm-hmm. So, like, all they know is it lasts as long as they've been using it, which, like, most tests are, like, 10 years, right? And, like, they recommend that you replace your standing rigging, like, once every 12, I think. It used to be 18. Mm-hmm. Now I think it's down to, like, 12. Might even be down to 10. I don't know. So, yeah, there you go.
A couple more Super Chat thank yous. We've got Douglas Sprague. Love your channel and mad fiberglass skills. Enjoy your channel. Graph Guy. We've got CT Manser. You two are a big part of the reason that I've started sailing. Oh, that's so cool. Crewing on racing boats every other weekend. That's awesome.
Yeah,
how do you like it
on.
so far? He says, I plan on buying my own boat. Thanks.
Cool, man. That's great. What kind of boat are you crewing on? I'm curious.
Yeah, how many people? We got Terry Fields. We've got... I'm almost caught up.
I've got a question.
Okay, go for it.
So Derek Lee Ure says, I'm sorry if this has already been asked, which I'm sorry because a couple people have asked it and I haven't gotten to it yet. So this is for all you folks that were asking about this. Will you be crossing the canal? And yes, we will be crossing the canal. We're thinking we'll probably do it maybe February of this coming year, which is a bummer because I think they're like doubling the fee in December. And it's like, I'd sure like to get through the canal before they double it, because right now, as it stands for a boat of our size, it's not very expensive. I mean, I think it's like $800 or something to get through, which, like, that's a lot of money, but like it's not a lot of money to go through like one of mankind's like greatest construction projects, you know what I mean? But they are doubling the cost, and so that's going to be kind of a bummer.
But yeah, our big goal from right now is to cross the Pacific, and so to do that we have to transit the canal. But that's basically why we're in Panama, why we're doing all this boat work. We can still very comfortably cruise the Caribbean with Atticus how it is right now, but we're kind of in the next stage of projects that we need to tackle in order to cross the Pacific and then to sail in very remote locations.
Right, and then I should say that the reason that we're not crossing the canal and then finishing all these projects is because we've been told from multiple sources that the Pacific side of Panama is really expensive from a boating standpoint. Now, there are anchorages like in the Perlas Islands, and, you know, it can be cheaper out there. But as for, like, boat facilities, marinas, all that kind of stuff, over on Panama City, it's all super expensive. So we've been told, stay over here, get the work done over here, then go through when you're more or less ready to cross.
Got a good question.
Okay, go ahead.
SV 3-hour tour says, what length of chain for my Caribbean refit would you recommend? What's the average anchorage depth?
So first of all, that's an awesome boat name. SV 3-hour tour. 3-hour tour.
I don't know what that is.
It's from Gilligan's Island.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so yeah, great question. I actually saw that as well, so I'm glad you brought that up. So I gotta say, it really depends on where you want to cruise. And I'm not just trying to avoid the question, like, because I've started to realize what we have 300 feet of 1/4 inch high test chain. So G4 chain. Now, a lot of you are going to be like, Jordan, that's like super small chain. It is really small chain. 1/4 inch chain is small, but high test is a lot stronger than triple B or proof coil. And so, for its size. And so we decided, instead of going combination chain and rope rode, we were going to go all chain, but go lighter weight, high test. The lighter weight is kind of a problem because it doesn't get the same sort of catenary that you get with a heavier chain. But the problem for us is on a 30-foot boat, you got to be really careful about how much weight you're putting in the bow. You know, if you've got a 40-foot boat, it's really not as big of a deal. But 30 feet, you got to be real cautious about that. And so that's why I would ask you, first of all, I would recommend high test chain. In my opinion, it's just the way forward. Like, you can deal with the reduced catenary by just letting more chain out. So like, we try and do a minimum of 7-to-1 scope. So you kind of treat it like it's a combo minimum.
Yeah, we basically do 10-to-1 every time.
We try to do 10-to-1. As they say, the chain in the locker doesn't help you, right? It's only the chain that's in the water that helps you. And so, yeah, we try to do 10-to-1 unless we absolutely can't. Long story short, though, is that if I were to do it again, I would seriously consider doing a combo road. Like, I would consider doing something to the extent of like 200 feet of chain, and then maybe increasing the size to 5/16, or maybe like 150 feet of chain and increasing it to 5/16. Because like 8 out of 10 times in the Caribbean, you're only letting out 120, 140 feet of chain, right? Because it's shallow water. If you're going to the Pacific, totally different story. Like, this is why we have 300 feet of chain, is because we've wanted to go to the Pacific this whole time. And so you got deep water there. You got anchorages with lots of coral heads, so you don't really want to have much rope out because it could chafe. So it really depends on where you're going. If it's going to be shallow, I highly recommend doing a split system where it's chain and road. So like I was saying, maybe 150, maybe 200 feet of high test chain, and then I would do like 150 to 200 feet of rope. And that way you've got a whole lot of road that you can put out when you need it, and you're also reducing the weight forward. One more thing I will say, another reason that I wish that we could go with something more like 5/16 chain, we could use it to anchor in a hurricane. As it stands right now, if we had to anchor in like a tropical storm / category 1 hurricane, and we were really getting like 70, 80 knots of wind, our chain, the 1/4 inch chain, it wouldn't be up for that. So we have to have like a separate hurricane setup. The nice thing about going one step higher would be you would be good to go in like any conditions, right? But you pay a price for that in weight and cost. The other thing about going a little bit larger than you have to go with chain is you could get a little bit of corrosion without it potentially breaking on you, right? So right now with our 1/4 inch setup, if one of those links were to start to corrode kind of badly, like it'd be kind of shady. And so that's why one of our projects here is to inspect all of our chain. So that was probably more than any of you wanted to hear about my opinion on chain, but like, it really is a great topic of discussion. Yeah.
Warp 21 Drive asked, will you be on the hard in Bocas? How long? Warren. And yes, we're going to go to a boatyard around the corner that is owned by the owner of the marina that we're at right now. The only thing is they don't really have facilities for spending the night there. So I have an uncle actually who lives in Almirante where the boatyard is. So I haven't asked him yet, but we might ask to stay with him while we're in the boatyard. Or I think there's one hotel in town, which I think they said is somewhat affordable. So we're trying to be on the hard for as little time as possible. And I think based on our projects, we decided, I think like 15 days was probably the sweet spot for being on the hard.
Yeah. We'll see though. We'll see.
And then Rusty Comer says, "Don't buy an anchor chain while you're in Panama. The winds thought they were getting a top of the line chain, but it's already failing apart after just 12 months." Good
Interesting. Yeah, good to know.
Yeah, that probably happens a lot in the Caribbean. I mean, like you've been getting. I think we bought like 7 pairs of headphones because they have There's a lot of Asian markets in town, like all the grocery stores are owned by Chinese families, and they have a lot of Chinese like knockoffs, and so we've been through we have like a pile nest of headphones that just keep on dying.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. Okay, so got a couple more questions here. Andrew Burr says, "What reference material do you suggest for cruising?" So first of all, I would recommend just about everything written by Lin and Larry Pardey. And not just because, Lin is a great author, not just because their story is super inspirational, but because I think it's even more pertinent now as like a reality check. Because like I read stuff online that's just so like mind blowing. Like, you know, a lot of people's like worldview when it comes to cruising, like they really think that you need big boats. Like we were watching, I'm not gonna name the channel, but like someone on YouTube was saying that like most of the boats they see cruising are like 46 feet and up. I'm like, okay, listen, like I got no problem with buying a bigger boat, but you can't say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that is so outrageous. Like you must only be looking for big boats if you're saying stuff like that. And so I think reading Lin and Larry Pardey, who they did 2 circumnavigations, both on boats that they built themselves, and both boats under 30 feet.
Both of them?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I think Taliesin is 29 feet, if I'm right.
Oh.
They have long bow spreads. But anyway, so I mean, it really gives you that. It'll bring you back down to earth. It'll remind you like what is actually necessary to live this super cool lifestyle. You know what I mean? And then after you read that and you decide you want the 40-footer, rock on, because now you at least kind of have this like this like broader spectrum that you can kind of see the situation from.
We actually met a guy in our marina here who knew Motissier, and he writes for, I think, Sail Magazine. And so he said he started cruising. He said when he started cruising, everyone had to know a lot, and they had really small boats. Now, everyone has big boats, and they don't know anything.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a great point. It is like it's like an attitude change that's happened over the decades, which is that in a lot of ways, like you can kind of buy your way through a lot of the problems that exist now, but like you don't have to, right? You can still solve a lot of those problems just by learning and by broadening your knowledge. And Lin and Larry Pardey's books will really do that for you, because they were cruising in a time when like they didn't have the kind of weather forecasting we have. So like they just had to be prepared to get hit by anything.
Or GPS.
Right? Yeah, or GPS. Dude, we were approaching Providencia, which you'll see, you know, in a couple episodes coming up. And Providencia, it's like an island more or less in the middle of nowhere in the Caribbean. Sort of like Grand Cayman, I guess. And but we were coming in kind of hot. Like the wind had really piped up. It was probably like 24 knots, and the seas were getting kind of nasty. And like we're coming in, and like we barely can see this like, you know, little mountain on the horizon. And we're like, imagine if you didn't have GPS. Like imagine if for the last couple days you've been like, I sure hope we know where we are. You know? Yeah. And then like not only that, but Providencia has like reef that extends like 8 miles north of it. You got to get right around that reef. Like imagine after several days at sea, you're in these like 7-8 foot waves, like trying to navigate around a reef in the middle of the ocean to get to an island. I mean, it's just like, it's so impressive what they did, right?
Yeah.
And so you read those books and you're like, well, if they can do that, I can sure, like, you know, look at the GPS and say, let's go that way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to mention was we don't want to shame people who have big boats. It's just that our philosophy isn't like buy a super, super small boat. And if you have a super, super small boat, like you're doing it better. It's just if you choose the smallest boat that you're comfortable with, your chances of, and it's your first sailboat, cruising sailboat, your chances of actually getting out there and sailing are going to be higher in our opinion, because it's a lot more affordable and manageable. And so that's basically the only reason that we've been able to finally leave the United States. Yeah, we met so many people in Key West who had the exact same dream of ours, but they quit early because their boat was too big, too much to manage. Yeah, and then we actually had a friend who has a Corbin 39, and he's in our videos from
Alex. You guys met Alex in Cuba.
Yeah, from Tangaroa.
Yeah.
And he actually just kind of decided to quit sailing because he basically was saying
it's just too much boat for him.
Too big for him, and the projects that he needs to do to get it ready for more cruising, he just can't afford right now. So he wants to go home and focus on a career. and then save up so that he'll buy. Actually, he's going to buy a smaller boat, so when he actually does sail, he can really have it sustainable. Mario Catabiani says, "Can you explain the origin of the name Little Ship?"
Well, we actually have that in a video. So if you guys go back to, I believe it's Working Hard and Playing Hard in Key West. Mm-hmm. It's like season 2, episode 4 or something like that. And our videos have improved a lot since then. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. But we buy the dinghy and we take it out. We go like cruise somewhere in the backcountry in the Florida Keys for like a weekend. And we're literally just hanging out in like a little like tidal cut through the mangroves, and like the water's flowing over us, and we're like hanging out in the water with the dinghy. Mm-hmm. And it's a little dinghy. Teeny. Like it's got a folding transom, and it's like the smallest, it's basically the smallest rigid bottom inflatable that I could find. Oh. It's like 8 feet long exactly.
But we got the little shit thing, because didn't your mom used to say little shit?
I think, I can't remember. That might have been like the thing she would say if she was angry.
Yeah.
Like, you little shit?
Yeah, you little shit.
I can't remember. But anyway, so we're just hanging out in the water. We actually have it in the episode. Yeah. We're like hanging out in the water, and we're like, what should we call the dinghy? And we're like, I don't know, what about little shit? And then...
we thought about calling it lil shit, but I'm really glad we didn't go with that.
Lil apostrophe shit, yeah.
Little shit's more satisfying.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah. And then, Terry Field says, please give name of that book and author again. So
it's in the description also.
Yeah, so the book that we're giving away tonight is The Self-Sufficient Sailor, and that's by Lin and Larry Pardey. That's Pardey. And
actually, the book will come out in October. So we're giving away a signed copy of it, so it's the pre-order.
Yeah.
So you'll actually get it in October.
Yeah, so if you want a chance to win that book, as we're saying right here, just follow those instructions. You can, any donation over $5 will put you in the raffle for that. And then I would also recommend any other book that they've written. And so basically they've written a couple books that describe their adventures, which are really worth reading because they're describing cruising. I believe like in the 70s, if I'm getting that right. And a lot of the places that we will see, that you'll see on YouTube, they were real different in the 70s. And so it's really cool to get to just read about that. And then on top of that, their experiences without electricity. They didn't have a motor. So they actually, on Taliesin, instead of a motor, they had a bathtub. I think it was Taliesin, maybe it was Seraphin. But they had literally had a bathtub that like was on a little like rolly thing, so it would roll out into the cabin so they could have a bath. And then they also have a whole series of more technical books, so like Storm Tactics.
Storm Tactics is really good.
Cost Conscious Cruiser, right? How to like save money.
I think Storm Tactics is my favorite.
Yeah, so check them out. A couple other authors, guys, if you're interested. I like Everything by Beth Leonard. Okay, so that's Beth Leonard. Check her out. And then check out Nigel Calder. He is the man. He's got all kinds of cool technical stuff. And if you're interested in like electricity on boats, he's kind of like the dude going forward with that. We're also hoping to interview him and to meet him at the boat show in Annapolis, because he's going to be there. And so I would love to get to chat with him about stuff.
Okay, a couple more questions.
Yep.
We've got Michael Douglas Roberts asked, after the canal, are you heading straight out to the Pacific, or are you considering Patagonia, Galapagos, or Easter Island? After watching Zingara's videos of Coco Island, man, I'm tempted to go that route.
Yeah, okay, so here's my thought on that. First of all, I think it's going to be kind of a rush for us to leave Panama on time, right? Because you really want to leave like in late March, early April, I believe is the time that you want to leave for the South Pacific. And so A, we're going to be a little bit crunched for time, and then B, I really want to spend a lot of time in the Marquesas. Every like image I've seen of the South Pacific that just like gives me chills, they're generally of the Marquesas. And on top of that, what I really want to try and do is get an extended visa for the Marquesas before we leave. Because if you just get a visa on arrival, you only get 2 weeks. And so a lot of people have kind of a rushed experience in the Marquesas. If you can get that visa ahead of time, you get kind of a unique experience. You get to like really get to know the Marquesas. And so that's sort of like what I'm most interested in, is getting to spend some serious time in the Marquesas and then the Tuamotus as well before continuing on to Tahiti. So there's a lot of super cool places out there to see, like, that are off the beaten path, right? So you've got like Pitcairn, you've got the Gambiers, you've got Coco Island, but those kind of take you away from the Marquesas.
Can you kill that termite over there?
I'd like to focus on the Marquesas. I don't see it.
It's in this light.
I don't think that's a termite. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. That's the plan. Whether or not we will stop at the Galapagos, we still kind of have to decide.
Yeah, heard it's really expensive.
Right. The thing I've heard about the Galapagos is that if you go there on your own boat, the laws and regulations there, they basically force you to experience the Galapagos as if you're a normal tourist. So having your own boat, your own dinghy, they don't actually, like, they're not actually beneficial to you. You still have to go through normal tour operators to see most everything. And so in a way, I'd be a little bit bummed, right? Like going to the Galapagos and then just getting in line with everybody else. I'd almost rather just get to the Marquesas quicker. The other thing is, if you don't go to the Galapagos, then you can cross the doldrums further west, where the doldrums are narrower, right? Where the ITCZ is narrower. Where the Galapagos are, the doldrums are like a lot wider from a north to south standpoint. So you have to travel further in a zone with tons of convection and very low wind. If you skip the Galapagos, you stay north of the doldrums, you keep sailing west, and then you just say, okay, we're going now. You turn due south, you, like a Band-Aid, get right through the doldrums and then head west again. There's a lot to be said for doing that.
Michael SV Waterworld asks, what anchor do you use? And we've got a 45-pound Mantis anchor. And you can learn more about it in our video about dragging anchor called Where the Is Our Boat?
Yeah.
And then
that'll also be in an upcoming Cruising World article that we're working on with Cruising World, which is pretty
And there's
exciting.
another live stream that we did called Lessons Learned from Dragging Anchor. And you can find that in our playlists of live streams, and that talks a lot about everything we learned about dragging anchor. And one of the big lessons was to oversize our main anchor, and so we got a 45-pound Mantis, which we love. Basically, since we've had that, we've been many times the only boat that isn't dragging in an anchorage when shit's hitting the fan.
Right, and like, just I want to expand on that real quick. Like, if you get an anchor that's like appropriately sized for your boat, that's appropriately sized for like kind of like casual anchoring, right? They're not like thinking about like you live on the hook in different places with bad holding, places with good holding, rock, sand, mud, grass. And so if you want to be able to sleep well night after night after night, I highly recommend getting an anchor that's 2 sizes above your average recommendation for your boat. It's, you got to be really careful about weight forward, like we said before. But if you think about it, like getting an anchor that's only 2 sizes bigger, that's probably, depending on the size of your boat, like you're adding maybe anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds to the bow. And that's just not all that much, right? Getting a lot more chain, that'll add a lot of weight. But just increasing the size of your anchor, it doesn't have enough negative drawbacks. Now, if you're like the kind of sailor that basically goes from Marina and then does a huge ocean crossing and then go to another marina, if that's the kind of sailing you do, small anchor is great because you want your bow to be light. But if you're living on the hook in strange anchorages, a big freaking anchor is like your best friend.
Man, we are coming to the wire. We need to do a raffle soon, so I'm going to power through some good questions. Frank Boom Boom says, do you still have
Boom
contact
Boom?
with Kika and Dan from Uma? And yeah, we talk to them at least once a month. They're awesome. We like being in touch with them. Let's see. Sobe Luis asks, hello guys, I think you are awesome. Question: of all the places that you have visited so far, which one is your favorite? FYI, I am from Honduras. LOL. Roatan was my favorite for a long time, and then we got to Providencia, Colombia, and I don't know, something about like the momentum of getting there. Like Jordan was saying, we had a really rough passage there, and we were sailing. I was sailing the boat. We were heeled at like 30 degrees, and I'm like just hand steering into the channel,
Like into the anchorage.
yeah.
And just like mountains
Yeah,
above us, you
it's
know?
crazy.
Just like,
Yeah. So I don't know, something about Providencia. There were these big mountains, easy to get around. The people were really friendly. There was a puppy right at the dinghy dock that we used, and a really cute little girl who I liked. So I'd say Providencia, Colombia was almost my favorite. Although Bocas Del Toro is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah. Providencia was beautiful, but like Providencia it's also like it's a very, like one side of the anchorage is really exposed. And you're just
Yeah.
like, man, one of these days, like you're going to get a strong west wind and you're just going to be so unhappy
Yeah.
and so screwed.
And that's why we decided to leave there.
Yeah, whereas like Roatan has some like extremely protected
Yeah.
anchorages.
Right. And the free diving in Roatan was unbelievable. Like, I just dream about that water. So Roatan, Providencia, and now Bocas del Toro.
Yeah.
That's like almost all the places we've been to.
Yeah.
Are our favorite.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joe H asks, for first timers, would you suggest buying a small boat and learning in a lake? And I'll let you chime in, but I would suggest to learn how to sail, just like join a sailing club and like learn on someone else's boat, because it's one skill to learn how to sail, and it's a total other skill to learn how to have a boat and maintain it. So that's what I would say. What do you think?
So I would agree with that. It just depends on your timeline,
Mhm.
right? So if you've just got like a little bit of free time and you want to learn how to sail, then I would say do a Desiree saying. Just become a member of like a sailing club or something and just go sail whenever you get a little bit of free time. If you've got like more time on your hands and you also have a little bit like, you know, several years maybe before you want to start cruising, then yeah, like buying like a J24 or something and learning how to maintain that thing and sailing it a lot, or maybe a slightly bigger boat. I mean, it just depends, right? Like, then I think that's a great way to go about things.
Mhm.
But just kind of recognize that like buying and selling a boat, it's a process. And so you gotta, if you plan on buying one boat, learning on it, and then selling it and buying another boat, you gotta have some time on your hands to be able to do that.
Yeah, I feel like learning how to sail can also be a very social process. So the more you like put yourself in a sailing club situation, you can learn from a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Also,
And sailing boats that aren't your own is wonderful.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, it's like, oh, hit the dock. Oh, well, better get out of here. You know,
run for it.
Yeah, right. I think it's beer o'clock.
My name is Adam.
Yeah, exactly.
Rayam asks, can you please provide a list of items and medical supplies that you have in your super medical red bag?
Yeah,
that would
right.
be a good idea. Yeah, I'll try to work on that.
That's actually one of our projects for when Desiree has time, is to inventory our med kit.
Yeah, so I could film the inventory process.
Yeah, or at least just make a list. But I think one of the big things that we have is like that you don't think about is painkillers, right? Like, to me, that's actually like a big safety issue. It's like if you break your arm, or if you like have a kidney stone, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be able to function a little bit when you're shorthanded. And so that's actually one of the big things that I recommend just for peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. These two questions kind of go together, I think, and I think maybe that will be the last question before we do the drawing, and I have to do some shout outs for super chats.
Just so you know, there's one or two quick ones I want to shoot at too.
Para132 asks, how have you thought of a catamaran versus monohull for your second boat? And along those same lines, Grant Grove asks, what length and size of boat will determine comfort at sea and at anchor? I'll let you tackle this.
Sure. First thing with the catamaran, we have not considered a catamaran for our next boat, basically because our budget now and our budget forever, I just don't think is going to be a catamaran budget. And what I mean by that is like, if you can get this much from a monohull that costs a certain amount, you're going to get this much from a catamaran that costs that same amount, right? Like, because they're just more expensive, and for good reason. They have to be built like a tank, right? Like when a monohull like gets a wave and a wind gust like going in opposite directions at exactly the same time, like the boat it does this, and that's how it relieves all that force, right? A catamaran, like, it has that same scenario. You know what it does? It does right? Like, it barely relieves that force at all. And so that hull needs to be able to just absorb all of that force and transmit it. And so they're expensive for what you get. Now, I'm not saying they're not good. Like, if you can afford a catamaran, do it, man. If I could afford one, I might buy one. I'm not going to commit to it, but I could definitely see myself potentially doing it. But in our situation, I just don't think it's ever going to be a realistic thing. As for what we consider to be like seaworthy and everything, I think safety and comfort, like, they're not the same thing, but they intersect, right? So, like, you could imagine, like, two different, like, bell curves, and they, like, intersect at, like, the kind of the tips, right? And because you can be extremely uncomfortable, but, like, not in a dangerous situation. And I feel like we experience it all the time. Like, Atticus is a uncomfortable boat to be on.
Right. But that being said, when I went on Sail Libra and we were in a storm, it was also uncomfortable. So there are some situations where no matter what size boat you have, it's going to be uncomfortable. That being said, like our friend Alex on the Corbin 39, we both had the same route to get from Cuba down to Panama. And he was hard on the wind for like 6 days. And we were thinking, God, we would never do that, because being hard on the wind on Atticus,
it would be a life-changing experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very uncomfortable. You're heeled over at like 20 to 30 degrees, whereas he was heeled over at like, what did he say? Like barely heeled over.
Yeah.
And he always sailed with a reef in the main, but he was still maintaining, I think, 4 knots.
Like 5 knots, I think.
Yeah, right. So,
yes. So the point is that, like, after talking to our friend Alex on his Corbin 39 and talking to people that have sailed on slightly more modern hull designs, I am starting to become more of a fan of the concept of comfort in general, from a boat and from the design. So size is going to have something to do with comfort, like overall length. Weight is going to have a lot to do with comfort. And then finally Yeah. No, I'm laughing. Get your head out of the gutter.
No, I'm laughing at somebody created an account called Larry Jobless and said, just become a dirty bird and hang out on boats.
Larry Jobless. Man,
so
your
awesome.
Commitment is super awesome.
Is that Flomads or something?
That is awesome.
That's great. Sorry.
I thought you were saying, like, size has a lot to do with comfort.
No.
I was like, come on, bud. That's cheap. That is cheap. Anyway, so long story short, the underbody shape of a boat is also going to have a lot to do with the comfort. And so, like, I'm looking for Atticus 2.0. I am looking at boats that are going to have a little bit more initial stability, right? And so, like, a harder turn of the bilge, you know what I mean? A little bit beamier. So basically, that's such a huge topic to get into, but I think that don't worry, too much about, like, thinking comfort and safety as one concept, right? Like, you can have a very safe boat that might be a little bit uncomfortable. At the end of the day, all boats offshore are uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, being offshore is synonymous with being uncomfortable, with a few exceptions. Yeah. So.
Well, I think, like, sometimes we watch, like, Gone with the Wind's videos, and they're doing a passage, and it just seems like they're, like, in this beautiful bubble,
But that's when they're going downwind, and it's light.
So it is a little bit different, but it's just a sacrifice we make to be on a small boat so that we can actually sail. And so when we get to an anchorage, we're often with big catamarans and boats of all different sizes. But what we like to think is, we're all watching the same sunset. We all got here in our own ways. and so we feel lucky to be out here.
Right. Exactly. I think that's sort of the main takeaway from our whole small, go as small as you're comfortable with concept is like, because at the end of the day, like you're not cruising so that you can have like a huge V berth. You're not cruising so that you can have like a massive galley. Like you're cruising so that you can see those sunsets. You're cruising so that you can meet those people all over the world, so that you can hike that mountain, so that you can snorkel on that reef. And like, are you gonna have a better time doing that on a bigger boat? Probably not. And so realistically, I guess just prioritize your success over like how nice the boat is, right? Like make sure that you're going to make it happen first. And so in a lot of ways, that's our philosophy.
I think you will have a better time, like objectively, but the question is, like, will it be exponentially better? And is it worth it to you? Jumping that from like really awesome, like pretty good, which is where we are at Atticus. Like we're having a pretty amazing time, pretty much love our lives. Or do you want to like be in debt in our situation, buy a catamaran, huge catamaran, and then have all the comforts? And do you think that would make you that much happier? Okay, let me do a couple of super chat thank yous, and then you can get the questions. And then we gotta do this raffle. We've got Rick Adams.
Real quick, that means that this is basically a last call for anybody hoping to enter into the raffle to win these prizes.
All right, we've got Postdoc Tales. Oh, I've been really enjoying chatting with you guys on Patreon. Says this is a big part of why we moved from Austin, and tomorrow have a survey and a sea trial of a 46-foot cat. So simple question. When we get a boat, can you come and teach us to sail? We have no idea. Not even joking. We start lessons on Saturday. You guys are going to do great. Send me a message to let me know how it goes. Ricardo Hernandez, thank you so much. We've got Pump Up the Volume. Nice. Been enjoying the Caribbean vicariously through you guys. Might have already been addressed, but how does one tell video date versus publishing date? We should probably... we don't really say on our videos when it was filmed, but we could probably start trying to do that.
Great point. I will say that if like the season or the time of year is important, we try to bring it up.
Right.
So like that's something, but like that's a great point. We should consider making that like something we do in every episode.
Gosh, my super chat just messed up, so I might have missed some people.
Want me to? What were you last on?
I was just on after Postdoc Tales, and somebody asked a question I just asked.
Okay, Postdoc.
My super chat does that every once in a while. Like doesn't refresh.
Just scroll up though.
I'm.
Just don't say anything, Jordan.
Oh my gosh! All right, I'm gonna start organizing for this.
Walk away. Boy, who did you say you said hello to?
Postdoc Tales. They were.
Wow, that must have been a while ago.
Yeah, we're really behind.
Well, sorry guys. So
let's start from the bottom.
Yes, we got Brian Mulligan says thanks for putting out awesome content.
Thank you.
Clint McDonald says our family loves your videos. Awesome, thanks Clint. We got Tammy Maloney. You two are great. We enjoy watching your channel. We hope to join you in 2025. Well, we are excited to have you out here. We got Rick Adams. How is your head, Jordan? My head is doing good. Thank you for asking. Desiree did a great job sewing me up. Then we got Marco Rocks. You both rock. Thanks. And safe travels. Thank you, amigo. In the Fiber, thank you very much. Hugh Van Dunn, Boat Show.
Dine.
All right, Dine. Sorry, buddy. Kurt Leisenfelder, $5. Thanks, buddy. Chad Towner, awesome. Fred Galifas says, go out and have some drinks or use it on boat things. Rock on. Thank you. And then Hugh Van Dyne again. And then Rick Adams, what is your favorite meal on a passage? We started doing what were you making that was like ready to go?
Yeah, we used to like make soups on every passage basically because I didn't think it was worth it to make food beforehand, but recently I've started just making food beforehand.
But what did you make?
I like doing like a beef, some kind of beef what do you call it? Stew.
No, it was the sandwiches.
Oh, yeah,
Remember?
sandwiches.
That's what we started doing that was awesome. Because if you start getting a little seasick,
oh yeah,
which we do, and some people don't deal with seasickness, and for them, life is just one long,
some people
awesome
just walk
party.
in the light.
Yeah, exactly. But for us, it's not that way. And so we have to be prepared to eat really simple food. And so what we started doing is making like simple sandwiches. So just like a little bit of meat, a little bit of cheese, bread, right? And that way, like, if you're not feeling the greatest, you can kind of nibble on that thing and like keep your energy up. And then they're already pre-made, so you don't have to like go down below and make food, which will make you even more seasick. So that's been super clutch. So I'll say simple pre-made sandwiches, man. It goes a long way. We'll show you here, but this passage that we had going south from Grand Cayman got real rough, and like we were just like kind of like it was uncomfortable, and so like we were just like it was like a cleanse. We were just not really eating a lot, trying to like sip on water, keep our hydration up. It's almost like it really is like it's like a soul cleanse. If like you get into rough seas, it's like you just start to realize what it takes to stay alive.
We have a super chat for $500.
No, but that's NOK.
What's NOK?
I'm actually not sure, but it's a different currency.
Oh.
So it's a foreign currency.
Well, it looks
a non-US.
It looks really. I like seeing 500.
Yeah.
So thanks, NOK.
Yeah. Okay. So Chris Smith, thank you very much, and I think that's it.
Whew, okay.
Cool.
All right. Let's do the drawing for the 2 free sailboat tickets. So I'm actually using a random generator instead of picking names out of a hat. So we've got 1 through 63.
Can I say something while you're kind of doing that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So guys, I did want to just say, while I've got you, we had that episode that was titled, Is Sailing Communist Cuba Worth the Trouble? And I did just want to say that we made it sound like the communist government in Cuba was the reason that we had such a hard time getting food and such a hard time, getting just about anything, right? And I did want to just say that something we didn't bring up in that episode is it's actually very hard while you're in Cuba to know if the difficulty that you're experiencing is due to the communist system and just its inefficiencies, or if it's due to the U.S. embargo, because they kind of have like very similar effects, right? Because of the Cuba is heavily affected by the U.S. embargo, and so because of it, they're not able to get a lot of the stuff that they could use very easily. It's hard for them to trade internationally, harder than it normally would be for a communist country, which it's already a little bit harder for them. So all I wanted to say is that something that we learned is that it's very hard to attribute a lot of those on-the-ground scenarios about getting food and shortages and everything else, whether you can attribute it purely to the communist regime or whether you can attribute it to the U.S. embargo. So just wanted to throw that out there. I personally felt like we were not communicating everything that we had learned very effectively. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to endorse communism.
I think that the thing that I was like kind of bummed about was that if you only saw that video, it might have seemed like we were saying it's not worth sailing southern Cuba. And I think if you watched our videos before that, you would have a like better understanding that, it was difficult, but like really amazing. So that's what I was kind of concerned about. All right, we have a winner. The winner for the 2 free sailboat tickets is Ryan Clark.
All right, so Ryan Clark.
Yay!
If you can
send me a message either on Facebook or to my email address, des@projectatticus.com. We will put your name on Will Call, and I'll just coordinate with you to make sure it all works out. So
what is his name on?
Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark. Comment or get a hold of us, get in touch with us, and we will get you those tickets to the Sailboat Show, and we will see you in Annapolis in October.
Awesome. And then also, if you guys wanted to get those sailboat tickets, but you didn't win them tonight, we have one more set of tickets that we'll be giving away next Thursday, same time.
That's right.
So you still have another chance.
One more chance.
All right, let's do the book drawing. We've got. You can do another question if you want.
Okay, cool. So anyway, guys, I hope that the little talk, the little spiel about Cuba makes sense. Yeah. Oh, and then Tyler Murphy is in the house. What's up, Dizzle? Says, I could use some Atticus surf videos. All right, man. Well, we're in the right place for that. I really would like to try and do a little bit of surfing while we're here. What is the highest that you've ever had to endure? So Harry Cash says, what is the highest seas that you've ever had to endure? And that was definitely, well, at least the highest seas we've had on Atticus was definitely on our trip from Grand Cayman to Providencia. And so that'll be in an episode coming up here shortly. And yeah, we were in 25 knots of wind, and it was the kind of like 25 knots is one thing if it's in like a squall, because a squall doesn't have enough time to really build large seas. But this was like 25 knots sustained that was in the middle of the Caribbean and had been blowing that for like days, right? So like these seas had been built up for a while. And so, I mean, it was interesting. Like the motion that Atticus was experiencing was extreme, to say the least, right? Like you're up, you're down, you're side, you're up, you're down. I mean, there was a moment where I was laying right here on the cockpit and just like, I was stationary, but like my body was like doing this, and I was just like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. That was a rough passage. I blacked it out though. I don't even remember it really. I just remember it was bad.
Yeah, well, it's like the fire that character is forged in. If I can.
Yeah, we did feel pretty like tough after that.
Yeah, it really.
Okay, we've got a winner for the Lin Pardey pre-signed Self-Sufficient Sailor book, and it goes to Ronald Jersky.
Ronald Jersky, come on up.
Yeah.
So, Ronald, don't be shy. Come on.
Yep. So Ron just sent me an email to Des at Project Atticus. Actually, you donated through PayPal, so I have your email address. So I'll also.
Hey, all right.
But yeah, that's awesome. Very
okay.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys for entering into the game here, to the giveaway. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. And just to kind of recap for those of you who weren't here at the beginning. There we are. So yeah, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, we will be at the United States Sailboat Show, October 10th through the 12th. And if you want to figure out how you can meet up with us, if you're planning on going, we will be posting our schedule to Facebook, to our YouTube community tab. If you're a patron, we'll be posting it to our patron page. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for that over the next week. Mm-hmm. And then that way you can make sure you'll be able to meet up with us. Because as we understand it, the Sailboat Show can be a little hectic. Mm-hmm. And so just, make sure you're not planning to just kind of bump into us.
Mm-hmm. But if you want to find us, sure thing, we will always post our whereabouts at Lin Pardey's booth, which is M5. So worst case scenario, just go to Lin Pardey's booth.
And you get to meet Lin Pardey and us at the same time. Like we'll hang out. The three of us will just, her, us, you, we'll just talk boats. We'll be... Oh, it'll be
I was
much
telling
fun.
Jordan, like, I'm going to be so starstruck meeting her. I get really awkward and say stupid things and kind of stutter when I'm nervous, so she's going to think I'm a weirdo.
Yeah, I know. David Daly, cheers. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, yes, let's all get together there. Yeah. And then if you are kind of in that beginning stages where you're, starting to get serious about your cruising plans, your cruising dreams, and you'd kind of like to learn a little bit more about how to make it pay, mm-hmm. how to make money while you're cruising, mm-hmm. then I highly would recommend Lin Pardey's course mm-hmm. at Cruisers University, which is going to be before the Sailboat Show in Annapolis, and we are going to be guest speakers there. A couple other people are going to be there. Carolyn from the Boat Galley will be there. You'll have...
Sailing Totem, I think.
Sailing Totem will be there. I think Captain Fatty will be there.
Well, no, he's...
Via, like, a video.
Yeah, Nigel Calder.
Yeah, he's not going to be in that course.
Not that
he's going to be in a different course.
Cruisers University.
Yeah, and then another, I think an editor from Cruising World will be one of the guest speakers.
Mm-hmm. What's cool about the Cruisers University course is it is a little expensive, but it includes a full day of courses that you can choose or electives, and lunch and breakfast, and tickets to the Sailboat show and the United States Powerboat show. So you're getting a lot for your tickets.
You get a lot of value. Yeah, and then not to mention the fact that, like, just look at the courses. Like, they're all taught by, like, people that seriously know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I want to take some of the courses.
Yeah, I know. We're like, can we get, like, free tickets or something?
Yeah. All right, and guys, as always, if you never want to miss another live stream, you can always text Atticus, Atticus, to the number 43506, and that's in the description below. And then you'll get a free text reminder 15 minutes before we go live. And that only works, though, if you're in U.S. or Canada. And again, we are doing another live stream this next Thursday, same time, same place, same sweaty messes.
Yeah, and we will be giving away another 2 tickets to the United States Sailboat Show in Annapolis.
And another copy of Lin Pardey's Self-Sufficient Sailor.
No.
Oh, no, we not. Just kidding.
No, we not.
No, we
no,
not.
we no do.
No, we didn't.
We do not do what that say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing your questions and your energy. We're so sorry if we didn't get to some of your questions, but you'll have another opportunity to ask us next Thursday, or just send us an email or check out our Facebook page, and we'll try to get your questions.
Okay. And then other than that, we will see you on the tube this next Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, wait, last thing. Thank you, Dave. You're amazing. We love you so much. And for those of you who don't know, Dave is feeding me interesting questions. So basically, he's the reason why, like, this works.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dave. You seriously are the man. Mm-hmm. So everybody say thank you to Dave.
Dave!
Really appreciate it. And then, I would like to just take a quick second to thank all of our patrons. And we absolutely could not do what we do without you guys. And so you guys are literally like my heroes. Like, we get to do what we love. We hope that what we're doing is working for you guys, and that you guys are enjoying it and getting value out of our videos, and you guys are absolutely sincerely changing our lives. So thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are awesome. And besides that,
we'll see you next week.
We will see you guys next week. See you guys.